How's it going, folks? Welcome to another fun at-home table read. Tonight, we are tackling easily one of my favorite musicals, Frank Oz's Little Shop of Horrors. We're just going to jump right into intros on this one. So,
hello, I'm George, and I'll be doing the action description.
Hello, I'm Jarod, and I'll be reading as Seymour.
I'm Bridget, and I'll be playing Audrey.
Curtis, I'll be playing Mushnik.
our dentist, I don't know if he's here at the moment, but Hunter will be playing our villainous dentist tonight. I'm Logan. I'll be reading Audrey too.
Hi, I'm Anne. I will be reading for Ronette.
I'm Lynne. I'm reading for Crystal.
Angie, and I'm reading Miss Mack.
I'm Erik. I'll be reading Radio DJ, aka Wink Wilkinson.
And I'm Travis, and I'll be reading Wino.
It's a wino, Travis. Jesus
Wino.
Wino.
Anyway, George, take us away.
All right, Little Shop of Horrors. Fade in. A gray void swirls of threatening, ever-changing storm sky color. A chilling Phantom of the Opera organ chord. A voice not unlike God's or Orson Welles intones the following prologue. Simultaneously, the words scroll slowly across the screen.
On the 23rd day of the month of September, in an early year of a decade not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence. And this terrifying enemy surfaced, as much enemies often do, in the seemingly most innocent and unlikely of places.
The church-like music climaxes in a drum roll as we see light droplets of water hitting and causing ripples in the image. Immediately, bubblegum rock music kicks in as camera pulls back to reveal that the above-mentioned gray void is really a puddle of muck in a foul Skid Row gutter, and that a wino is passed out beside him, his long black hair soaking in the goo. We see now that a light rain is falling as camera moves up to reveal exterior Mushnik Skid Row florist shop, day, dark, cloudy sky. A rundown storefront flower shop just beyond the gutter. The building is so old, so forlorn, so dilapidated it seems to lean to one side. As the shop's sign comes into view, there is an ear-splitting burst of thunder, followed by a bigger-than-life lightning flash. Suddenly, the harmless facade is transformed into something ominous and foreboding. And just as suddenly, the main title, Little Shop of Horrors, fades up. The word horrors is colored red, and a few drops of what we suppose to be blood slowly ooze down and fall from its letters. As sung in voiceover, we hear...
Little shop of horrors.
Little shop of terror.
All a cop, little shop of horrors. No, oh, no.
The title fades out, and on another lightning flash, we cut to a different angle of the shop as three girls, Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, enter the shot. They are the ones we heard singing in voiceover. As camera trucks with them while keeping the shop in the background, they continue the numbers, singing and dancing a la any girl group of the 1960s.
Little shop of horrors.
Up, little shop of terror.
Bottom drop, little shop of horrors. No, oh, no.
In the background of the previous shots, we've seen not only the shop, but also a malnourished dog poking through an overturned garbage can, a pre-1960s car or two passing by, newspapers being blown by the wind, and a bum begging from people who quickly pass by grasping umbrellas. The girls now turn and enter through the doors of the shop. Interior shop, day. The place is a mess. The flowers are on their last legs or are altogether dead. The corsages are decaying. The cash register is rusted and covered with dust. The light bulbs are bare. The FTD posters are from 20 years earlier. Clear the place hasn't had a customer in years.
Shing-a-ling, what a creepy thing to be happening.
Look out, shang-a-lang. Feel the stomach drain in the air.
Yeah. Shalala, stop right where you are. Don't you move a thing.
The girls have danced past a storage room and over to a man who is sitting at the shop's counter reading a newspaper which hides his face. The paper, the Skid Row Herald Examiner. The headline, Unexpected Total Eclipse, End of the World? The man lowers the paper to turn the page and we see that it's Mushnik, the shop's owner. He glances at the door, then at the clock, sighs, and returns to his newspaper. He does not notice the girls who are inches away singing the following right to him.
You better, telling you'd better.
Tell your mama something gonna get her.
She'd better, everybody better beware.
On the word beware, camera follows the girls as they dance over to a closed door. They open it and we cut to a reverse shot of the door as it's being opened, and the camera leads the girls down a dingy flight of stairs as they sing.
Come.
Little shop of horrors.
Up, shoot up, you'll never stop the terror.
As the girls reach the bottom, they sing and dance past camera towards Seymour, who is standing with his back to camera on top of a tall and dangerous ladder of crates, boxes, and books. He is putting something away on a high shelf, crammed with clothes, comic books, and assorted junk. He, too, does not notice the girls as they sing to him.
Little shop
of horrors now. Oh.
Oh.
On the last extended note of the song, the girls back away from camera, and we're left alone with Seymour. As he continues struggling, we see an old beat-up radio on the lower shelf next to him, from which we hear...
At his press conference today, President Kennedy fielded questions concerning last Thursday's total eclipse of the sun, an unpredicted and unprecedented astrological phenomenon which has baffled the nation.
During the broadcast, we see Seymour teetering until finally losing his balance. He grabs for the shelf, and with a pathetic whimper, he falls, taking it, some potted plants, comic books, clothing, junk, and radio down with him. Sound effects of a crash. Seymour has dropped out of shot. We hold on what's left of the wall as we hear...
Seymour, what's going on down there?
Seymour pops back up into frame in a full-face close-up and shouts,
A very little, Mr. Mushnik.
Cut to interior shop day. Cut to interior basement day. We've cut to another angle of Seymour to see that the girls are no longer there and to see that we're in the basement. These dark surroundings have been transformed into Seymour's pathetic living quarters, with clothing, a hot plate, junk food containers, a sleeping cot, and crud everywhere. However, blooming amid the decay and the debris are hundreds of strange and exotic plants. They're growing lavishly in coffee cans, shaving mugs, the most unlikely containers, nourished by makeshift grow lights. Seymour starts picking up the mess he's made. He starts with the radio, which is turned over on the floor and which is now emitting static. He hits it and music comes on. Phil Spector and the Crystals' 1963 arrangement of Uptown.
He gets up each morning and he goes downtown, where everyone's his boss and he's lost in an angry land. He's a little man, but when he comes uptown each evening to my tenement.
As he's picking through the mess, Seymour notices a particular plant amongst the others that has fallen on the floor. He worriedly picks it up, puts back the dirt in its Maxwell House coffee can, and places it under a special grow light, giving the feeling that the plant has its own theatrical spotlight. The plant is clearly on its last legs. Its avocado-like pod is withered and dry. Its leaves are brown, and its little tendrils resemble a polio victim. He tends to it with great care. Sound effects off-screen, high heels on concrete. Seymour hears the sound of high heels clicking quickly in the distance. His expression changes to one of longing as he turns and goes to the basement window and looks out. Exterior Skid Row Street. Rain has stopped. Day. Camera is now across the street at an extreme low angle. We see Seymour's hopeful face through the basement window in the background as a car passes. In the extreme foreground, a bum is sprawled out on the sidewalk. The sound of the clicking heels is upon us now, as a pair of black pumps enters frame, stepping over the bum. Camera moves with the feet until they are now walking towards camera. We tilt up past the fishnet stockings, black dress, leopard skin print jacket, and up to a full-face close-up of Audrey. She is rushing towards camera. We see she has a black eye. Interior shop day. Door chime. Mushnik looks up to see Audrey enter hurriedly. She immediately begins to take off her leopard print jacket, struggling as she does to conceal the black eye.
So she finally decides to come to work, eh?
Good morning, Mr. Mushnik.
What morning? It's almost closing time. Not that we had a customer.
A loud crash from the basement.
What in the name of God is going on down there? Audrey, you better go see what he's... Audrey? Where'd you get that shiner?
Shina?
Interior storage room. Audrey starts to hang up her coat and put on her uniform, a frilly pink smock. Mushnik follows her in.
Hey, Audrey, that greasy boyfriend of yours, he's beating up on you again. Look, I know it's none of my business, but I'm beginning to think he's maybe not such a nice boy.
You don't meet nice boys when you live on Skid Row, Mr. Mushnik.
Seymour comes up from downstairs carrying a precariously balanced pile of clay pots.
Got these pots unloaded for you, Mr. Mushnik.
But even before the sentence is finished, he's lost his footing. Seymour and the pots fall to the floor with an ear-splitting crash, identical to the ones we've heard before.
Seymour, look what you've done to that inventory.
Don't yell at Seymour, Mr. Mushnik.
Oh, hi, Audrey. You look radiant today. Is that new eye makeup?
I'll help him clean it up before any customers get here.
Well, I'll give you plenty of time.
Mushnik moves through the shop towards the front door.
Oh, God, what an existence I got.
Exterior street day.
Misfit employees, bums on the sidewalk, business is lousy. My life is a living hell.
He notices Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon lounging idly on the stoop next door to the shop.
You, urchins, off the stoop. Ain't bad I forgot the Wino's permanently decorating a storefront. I need the worthless to complete the picture.
Ragamuffins, I think. The girls start walking away as they speak.
Oh, we ain't bothering nobody, are we, Crystal?
No, we're not, Ronette.
You ought to be in school.
We on the split shift.
Right, we went to school till the 5th grade. Then we split.
Mushnik has stopped following them.
So, how do you intend to better yourself?
Better ourselves? You heard what he said, Chiffon. Better ourselves? Mister, when you come from Skid Row, ain't no such thing.
The girls turn the corner into a darkened, narrow street where we see trash cans and fire escapes and a wino lying amidst the filth. About 20 yards in the distance, we see a woman. She's in her 50s wearing a working uniform. She could be a waitress or a maid. An old, worn coat hangs from her shoulders. She seems very tired and walks very slowly towards camera. Music, intro to Downtown/Skid Row.
Sorry, I don't know this one very well. Alarm goes off at 7 and you start uptown. You put in your 8 hours for the powers, and they've always been. Sing it, child, till it's 5 p.m.
Then you go.
He falls back down. The girls join the woman as they walk up the narrow street to the main Skid Row street.
Downtown, where the folks are broke.
Downtown, where your life's a joke. Downtown, when you buy your token, you go.
Home to Skid Row. Home to Skid Row.
Yes, you go.
He falls out of shot. From around a corner, from an alleyway, from a fire escape, from a tenement building, more people, maids, janitors, busboys, bag ladies, waitresses, bums, messengers, etc., join the woman and the girls. The group builds in strength and passion and takes over the street in a number whose choreography is not dance but rather impassioned rhythmic movement.
Downtown, where the cabs don't stop.
Downtown, where the foodies slop. Person 2 joins the others on the street.
Downtown, where the hotbeds flop in the snow.
Down on Skid Row.
Whoa.
Down
Down
on
on
Skid
Skid
Row. Uptown, you cater to a million jerks. Uptown, you messenger and mailroom clerks.
Eating all your lunches at the hot dog
Hot
cart.
dog
The
carts.
bosses take your money and they
Money
break
and they
your
break
hearts.
your hearts.
A 1950s bus stops and discharges a few more people who join the throng.
And
And
uptown you cater
Uptown you
to a
cater to a
million
million
whores.
whores.
You
You
disinfect
disinfect
your
terrazzo
terrazzo
on the bathroom floors.
Your
Your
jobs
jobs
are
are really
really menial.
menial. You make no bread.
And then at 5
5
o'clock,
o'clock
you
you
head
head
By subway.
downtown.
Exterior shop day. Audrey is on the sidewalk emptying broken clay pots into a trash can. We see the chorus reflected in the shop's window.
Where the guys are drips.
Downtown.
Where they rip your slips. Downtown. Where relationships are no go.
Audrey walks into the street where everyone is posed hyper-dramatically a la West Side Story, singing in powerful chorus. She also singing moves amongst them. Down on Skid Row.
Down on
Skid Row.
Down on Skid
Row.
Down on
Down on Skid Row. Down on Skid Row.
On Skid Row.
Interior shop day. Seymour is sweeping his mess.
Poor. All my life I've always been poor. I keep asking God what I'm for. And he tells me, gee, I'm not sure. Sweep that floor, kid. Oh. I started life as an orphan, a child of the street, here on Skid Row.
Exterior shop day. During the previous lyrics, camera has turned a full 360 degrees to show the chorus in the background, and it now follows Seymour out of the shop onto the sidewalk as he sings.
He took me in, gave me shelter, a bed, crust of bread, and a job. Treats me like dirt, calls me a slob, which I am. So I live.
Everyone on the street is now moving very slowly, not unlike zombies. Audrey is no longer with them. Seymour joins them in the street and walks amongst them.
Downtown.
That's your home address. You live
Downtown.
when your life's a mess. You live
Downtown.
where depression's just status quo.
Down on Skid Row. A high, wide shot of chorus and background on Main Street as Seymour turns and walks into a narrow alley. He's alone and singing to himself.
Someone show me a way to get out of here. 'Cause I constantly pray I'll get out of here. Please won't somebody say I'll get out of here. Someone give me my shot or I'll rot here.
Camera cranes down with Seymour as he stops in front of an old rusty cyclone fence which creates a cul-de-sac. Camera is now behind the fence as we see Seymour through the steel mesh. Suddenly a filthy hand comes up grabbing the wire, followed by its body and another body and another and another. We see that the bodies are those of bums slowly crawling up the cyclone fence almost on top of each other as they menacingly sing to Seymour, who is backing away and also singing.
Show me how and I will. I'll get out of here. I'll start climbing uphill and get out of here.
Downtown.
There's no rules
Where the
for
rainbows
us.
go.
Downtown.
Someone tell me I still could get out of here.
Seymour, feeling trapped, runs out of the alley.
Someone tell Lady Luck that I'm stuck here.
When you live.
During the following, we intercut between Audrey and Seymour, each of whom are at different parts of the street. They wander about melodramatically, trying to get away from the filth and degradation of Skid Row.
Gee, it sure would be
swell
swell to get out of here.
Don't
Bid
shine.
the
Gotta
good
farewell and get
Past the
out of
bottom
here.
line.
I'd move heaven and
Downtown. Go ask anyone I know here knows.
Skid.
Downtown.
But a hell of a lot to get out of Skid.
Downtown.
Unable to escape from the shackles of Skid Row and feeling desperately trapped, they stop at either side of a corner building. They do not see each other, as in an overly dramatic yet heartfelt plea, they sing to the heavens. The sky becomes lyrical and pink, and the entire chorus moves in slow, deliberate, quasi-Jerome Robbins choreography as everyone sings with starry-eyed intensity.
People tell me there's not
Downtown.
a way out of Skid. But believe me, I've got to get out of Skid Row.
Interior shop, early morning. Mushnik, Seymour, and Audrey are in the shop. Mushnik, depressed, glances up at the clock.
Look at that. 6 o'clock, we haven't sold so much as a bird. All right, that's it. Don't bother coming in tomorrow.
You don't mean?
You can't mean.
What I don't mean? I mean, I'm closed. Forget it. Kaput.
You can't.
Kaput. Extinct. I'm closing this darn customer-forsaken place.
Mr. Mushnik, forgive me for saying so, but has it ever occurred to you that maybe what the firm needs is to move in a new direction?
Seymour, why don't you go run downstairs and bring up that strange and interesting new plant you've been working on?
Seymour helpfully exits.
You see, Mr. Mushnik, some of those exotic plants that Seymour's been tinkering around with are really unusual. And we were both thinking that maybe some of those strange and interesting plants prominently displayed and advertised would attract business.
Seymour is now standing behind them holding the same withered plant we saw earlier in the basement. It looks even worse than it did before.
I'm afraid it isn't feeling very well today.
There. Now, isn't that bizarre?
At least, what kind of a weirdo plant is that, Seymour?
I don't know. It looks like some kind of fly trap, but I haven't been able to identify it in any of my books. So I gave it my own name. I call it an Audrey too.
After me?
I hope you don't mind. You see, sir, if you put a strange and interesting plant like this in the window here, maybe...
Maybe what? Do you have any idea how ridiculous you sound just because you put a strange and interesting plant in the window? People don't sound like...
A customer opens the door of the shop. Excuse me, I couldn't help noticing that strange and interesting plant. Mushnik and employees look up in amazement. What is it?
It's an Audrey too.
I've never seen anything like it before.
No one has.
Where did you get it? Music. A harp? Bells? The kind of thing that signaled a flashback in musicals of the 40s and 50s. Seymour looks off into the distance, conjuring for himself the vision of his first encounter with the plant.
Well, you remember that total eclipse of the sun a couple of weeks ago?
Flashback. Daru. Through this entire sequence, we hear Seymour in voiceover and see him in the situations he describes. Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon are always in the recalled scenes with him, just sort of there, hanging out on a stoop or lurking in a corner, singing backup with appropriately choreographed girl group gestures. Exterior, a stylized, almost Caligarian rendition of 6th Avenue in the 30s, the plant district. Seymour is walking along, fascinated by the foliage for sale.
I was walking in the wholesale flower district that day.
Shoot-da-doo.
He passes a strange-looking florist shop, its sign printed in Chinese characters.
And I passed by this place where this old Chinese man...
Close-up, an elderly Mandarin with a crazed and evil leer.
Ching-da-doo.
Seymour and the Mandarin shake hands.
He sometimes sells me weird and exotic cuttings.
The Mandarin chops a leaf off a plant with a dangerous-looking oriental saber.
Snip-da-doo.
Da-doo.
The Mandarin extends the leaf to Seymour.
Because he knows, you see, that strange plants are my hobby.
Seymour examines it
Da-da-da-da-da-da-doo.
and decides not to buy it.
He didn't have anything unusual there that day.
Nope. Da-doo.
Seymour starts to walk away.
So I was just about to, walk on by.
Good for you.
But suddenly Seymour stops dead in his tracks. He notices something in the sky.
When suddenly, and without warning, there was this
The sky, a total eclipse, occurs before our eyes.
total eclipse of the sun. It got very dark.
Just as suddenly, the eclipse is over. We're back on the street, and Seymour looks at the Mandarin in puzzlement. The Mandarin glances down at a row of flower buckets containing cut flowers. Among the flower buckets now sits one strange and interesting plant, a baby version of Close-Up, the Audrey 2.
When the light came back, this weird plant was just sitting there,
Oopsie-doo.
See-doo.
just stuck in, among the zinnias.
Seymour picks up the plant and examines it.
Audrey too.
I could have sworn it hadn't been there before, but the old Chinese man sold it to me anyway.
Seymour fishes in his pocket for $1 and some change, which he gives to the inscrutable Mandarin.
For $1.95.
Seymour walks up the street away from us, carrying his new plant.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la, do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Extreme close-up of the Mandarin turning to camera and flashing a knowing grin. Extreme close-up of the girls, also smiling knowingly to camera. Extreme close-up of two filthy bums, their faces distorted and smiling. Camera pulls back and we see we are in interior shop early evening. The two bums are now in the background outside the shop. Their faces are mushed against the display window as they look with great curiosity at the others in the shop. Yes, sir, that's an unusual story and a fascinating plant. He turns to leave. Mushnik, Seymour, and Audrey exchange a look of mutual disappointment, and the customer turns around. Oh, I might as well take $50 worth of roses while I'm here.
$50? Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Can you break 100?
100? No.
Well, then I'll just have to take twice as many, won't I? He hands Mushnik a $100 bill, close-up of Seymour.
Twice as many?
Close-up of Audrey.
Twice as many?
Close-up of the two bums we see outside the window.
Twice as many?
The two bums quickly glance to the front door. Close-up of customer 2 opening the front door.
That plant in the window, it's simply amazing.
Close-up of customer 3 opening the front door.
That plant in the window, wherever did you get it?
Close-up of customers 4 and 5 opening the front door.
Look, there it is, Marge.
Oh my gosh, it's peculiar.
Close-up of the two bums as they open the front door. They're about to speak when a look of fear crosses their faces, and they turn and run as all the customers come piling out of the front door. They are laden with bunches and bunches of flowers and are excitedly babbling about that amazing plant.
Thank you. Come again. You know where to find us. Come and get the weirdo plant some more. It's going to get bigger and more interesting.
He comes inside. There are no more flowers in the shop. Sold out.
Well, don't just stand there. Quick. Put that plant. What do you call it?
Audrey too.
Put the Audrey 2 back in the window where the passersby can see it. I don't mind admitting I'm wrong when I'm wrong, and I'm wrong. My God, I never have believed it. My children, I'm taking us all out to dinner.
Seymour, excited, looks at Audrey. Audrey looks up intensely disappointed.
Oh, I'd like to, Mr. Mushnik, but I have a date.
He heads for the storage room. Mushnik follows her in.
What the same no good neck?
Interior coat room. Audrey removes her work smock and starts to put on her jacket.
I'm telling you, Audrey, you don't need a date with him. You need major medical.
She closes her jacket, looks up meekly, forces a sad, embarrassed smile.
Enjoy dinner.
Interior shop. As Audrey hurriedly passes through, Seymour gazes at her longingly.
Good night, Seymour.
Good night.
And she's gone. Seymour looks sadly off in her direction. Mushnik emerges from the storeroom.
Oh, girl.
Are we still going to dinner?
Mushnik is about to answer kindly when his eye notices the plant. It has wilted since we last saw it. It droops over the side of its pot at a 45-degree angle. Three very serious descending musical chords underscore the shot. Mushnik approaches the plant, picks it up, and takes it to Seymour.
You're not going anywhere, Krellborn. You're staying right here and taking care of that sick plant.
I told you it's been giving me trouble. It just wilts like this. The Audrey 2 is not a healthy girl.
Between us, there's the Audrey 1.
If only I knew what breed it is, what genus. But it's nowhere in my books.
Well, Krellborn, my advice to you is to better figure it out fast. Look what this exotic little beauty did for business.
I know.
So work, Seymour. Nurse this plant back to health. I'm counting on you.
I know.
You do?
I do.
So fix. Good night.
Exterior Skid Row, a glowing deep pink sunset. Music in, the intro to Grow for Me. As we watch Mushnik disappear, sunset gives way to evening. One by one, lights pop on in windows up and down the street. Winos light fires and huddle beside them with brown-bagged bottles. A light pops on in Seymour's basement room. Interior of the basement. Seymour is looking through the basement window at Audrey, standing in the window of her own tenement flat across the street. She has changed outfits and is now looking into a mirror on her wall, struggling to conceal her black eye with CoverGirl liquid eye makeup. Seymour gazes up at her with painful longing, then returns his attention to his pathetic botanical charge. He sings as he works with misting cans, spade, and fertilizer. It's an intimate moment with the boy and his plant.
I've given you sunshine. I've given you dirt. You've given me nothing but heartache and hurt. I'm begging you sweetly. I'm down on my knees. Oh, please grow for me. I've given you plant food and water to sip. I've given you potash. You've given me zip. Oh God, how I missed you. Oh pod, how you tease. Now please grow for me.
Seymour grabs a gardening book from the shelf and leafs through it.
I've given you southern exposure to get you to thrive. I pinched you back hard like I'm supposed to. You're barely alive. I've tried you at levels of moisture from desert to mud.
He gives up for a while and starts putting his room in semi-order.
I've given you grow lights and mineral supplements. What do you want from me, blood?
Seymour picks up some dead roses, the thorns of which have pricked his finger. It bleeds just a little, but brightly.
Damned roses, damned thorns. Ugh.
Seymour rummages around through a box to find some band-aids. His finger keeps bleeding. Near him, a light from behind casts the plant's shadow on the wall. Suddenly, the shadow moves. In silhouette, the pod has opened up. Seymour notices this and turns around to see Audrey, too, open wide, is asking for something. Seymour moves towards it. It opens wider. He's puzzled by this behavior, then shrugs it off and returns to his previous activities. He puts a band-aid on his finger, hiding the blood. The plant closes. Seymour notices this and begins to get the idea. He removes his band-aid and raises his finger in front of the pod. Sure enough, it opens again. Seymour slowly hides his finger behind his back, and just as slowly the pod closes. He reveals the blood again. The plant opens. Now he tries to trick it. He moves his hand down up very fast. With amazing reflexes, the plant shuts and opens. Seymour gulps and sings.
I've given you sunshine. I've given you rain. Looks like you're not happy. Lest I open a vein. I'll give you a few drops, if that'll appease. Now please, oh please.
He squeezes a few drops of blood from his finger into the gaping pod. It snatches for the red stuff like a puppy for a biscuit. Seymour, a little sickened by his own action, and even more so by his plant's response, turns away from the pod and starts upstairs.
I guess a few drops couldn't hurt. As long as you don't make a habit out of it or anything.
Audrey, too, is alone now, lit by a shaft of moonlight pouring in through the basement window. As music builds under, the dirt in which the plant is potted begins to stir. The dry surface erupts like a small earthquake. Roots begin to push through. The Maxwell House coffee can starts to shake, then bulge. At last, the plant itself begins to grow. The pod sort of bubbles, then swells. New leaves appear, first as buds and then unfurl before our eyes. The stem extends 3 inches, then 4. By the time the music reaches its climax, the plant is a sturdy 1.5 feet tall. It then bends its stem gracefully and rises back up. If we didn't know better, we'd think it had just taken a curtain call. Interior radio station. An announcer sits at a desk in a small radio station. He speaks into a microphone.
This is radio station WSKID.
He plays 5 notes on a small chime.
For in just a few minutes, we'll be bringing you Wink Wilkinson's Weird World, the show that talks to wonderful people who bring in their weird things. But first, the news. The president today announced.
Interior control room. It's separated from the studio by glass. We faintly hear the news broadcast as we see, sitting in a chair, a man holding a fish, which is stuffed and mounted. The fish has a human nose and mustache. Next to the man and fish is seated a little boy holding a Rube Goldberg-type machine. Next to him and also seated is a 6-foot-tall wooden ventriloquist dummy. Sitting on the dummy's lap is a live little person who is casually smoking a cigarette. And next to him is Seymour with Audrey, too, on his lap. They're all patiently awaiting their turn. The plant is now a good 12 inches taller than when we saw it last. Seymour wears 10 band-aids, 1 on each of his fingers. Unseen by the others, including Seymour, Audrey, too, starts leaning towards the engineer who is adjusting some dials. The plant inches closer to the engineer. Only when the plant has its pod open and is about to bite the engineer does Seymour notice. He grabs the pod and pulls it back. Interior of the studio. The announcer is finishing the...
Partly cloudy on Saturday with highs in the mid-70s.
He bangs on the chime again 5 times.
And now, Wink Wilkinson's Weird World with your host, Wink Wilkinson.
Through the glass in the background, we see an assistant get Seymour in the plant. Music, theme of Wink Wilkinson's Weird World.
Thanks, Ed. Hi, everybody. We've got a great show for you today. Some wonderful people with some really weird stuff. Our first guest is someone you've probably read about in the papers by now, Mr. Seymour Krelborn, who has discovered a new breed of plant life unknown on this plant. Hello, Mr. Krelborn.
Yeah. Hello, Wink.
Say, I sure wish the folks at home could see this. Where did you get such a weird plant?
Well, you remember that total eclipse of the sun a couple weeks ago?
Interior control room. Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon pop up from behind the engineer.
Hello.
Interior studio.
I was walking in the wholesale flower district that day.
Interior of the shop, early evening. The cash register rings. Its drawer opens as from it, Mushnik grabs and counts wads of money. In the background, we see a sign in the window. It reads, "Welcome to Mushnik's, home of the Audrey 2." A closed sign is on the door.
And also we conclude our interview with Seymour Krelborn, the young botanical, you might call you our genius.
Gosh, no.
Mushnik shakes his head in disbelief.
The genius who has discovered America's largest and most amazing unidentified plant.
Well, I'd like to remind our listeners that Audrey 2 is on display exclusively at Mushnik's Skid Row Florist.
During the above, from inside, we see that Audrey is outside banging on the front door. Mushnik rushes over and opens it. Her black eye is a little better, but she now wears her arm in a chic leopard print sling.
Am I late? Did I miss it?
They move to the radio, on which we hear Seymour struggling to get his last words in as the announcer concludes the broadcast.
And so until next Wednesday, this is Wink Wilkinson saying so long and watch out for our What's Weird.
Mushnik switches off the radio.
That's what I call advertising.
He grabs his coat and starts out the front door with Audrey following.
Seymour's first radio broadcast. I wanted to hear it so bad. I tried to be on time, but...
Exterior shop, early evening. Mushnik and Audrey on the sidewalk. Mushnik locks the door.
Don't tell me you got tied up.
No, just handcuffed a little.
We see a large picture of Seymour and the plant hung near the sign in the display window as Mushnik walks Audrey across the street.
Handcuffed? Audrey, I don't know who this new Nick is you're hanging out with, but he's hazardous to your health.
That's for sure. But I can't leave him.
Why not?
He'd get angry. And if he does this to me when he likes me, imagine what he'd do if he ever got mad.
They arrive at her tenement door. Mushnik sighs in exasperation and leaves. Audrey turns and enters her building. Music, lead into Somewhere That's Green. Interior Audrey's apartment, early evening. It's a typical small Skid Row apartment. However, Audrey has tried to cover the poverty in which she lives by decorating it in a style we would call frilly Woolworths. She enters and looks out her window at the picture of Seymour across the street as she sings.
I think Seymour's the greatest, but I'm dating a semi-sadist. So I got a black eye and my arms in a cast. Still, that Seymour's a cutie.
She looks at his picture again, then decides to be honest.
Well, if not, he's got inner beauty. And I dream of a place where we could be together at last.
She pulls out her treasured collection of magazines, House and Gardens, Better Homes, Woman's Day. Music swells lyrically as she flips them open to favorite pictures. Model kitchens with avocado-colored double refrigerators, playrooms with knotty pine paneling, pristine early American bedrooms with white chenille spreads and doily-covered night tables, an exterior shot of a contemporary split-level house circa 1961. She sighs and continues singing.
A matchbox of our own, a fence of real chain link, a grill out on the patio, disposal in the sink, a washer and a dryer, and an ironing machine. In the tract house that we share, somewhere that's green.
Camera pushes into the picture. Audrey's daydream. She's in the magazine pictures now, dressed for all the world like Barbara Billingsley from Pumps to Pearls, a ruffled apron protecting her shirtwaist. She moves from room to room of a perfect and perfectly awful suburban cheese box, dusting the plastic-covered sofa, adjusting the pole lamps, straightening the hand-tinted plastic-framed photos, singing all the while.
He rakes and trims the grass. He loves to mow and weed. I cook like Betty Crocker, and I look like Donna Reed. There's plastic on the furniture to keep it neat and clean. In the pine sol scented air, somewhere that's green.
Orchestral interlude, a brief dream ballet. The mood now is pure Leslie Caron as the rest of Audrey's dream is danced out. Exterior, the front lawn, day. We see a merrily pot-bellied Seymour mowing the lawn in a brightly colored band lawn shirt as a cocker spaniel yaps at his heels. Interior, the playroom, day. The children watch Saturday morning TV as Audrey appears with a smiling pitcher of Kool-Aid. The daughter is platinum blonde like her mom and wears a little leopard print pinafore. The son is prematurely balding at 7 years old and wears glasses and cap identical to his father's. Interior, the dining room, day. Audrey ushers neighbor ladies and pedal pushers and curlers to a table set for mahjong. In a flash, she's back with bridge mix and crustless tuna fish sandwiches. Interior, the living room, day. Audrey and neighbors at a Tupperware party. Interior, the kitchen, day. Audrey dances to the oven to put in 4 Swanson TV dinners. Exterior, long shot, dusk. Outside, the sun begins to set over a development where all the houses look just like this one. Interior, playroom at night. Audrey and Seymour snuggle on the couch. The kids are on the floor watching Lucy with her hands stuck in a bowling ball. Even the dog and cat are snuggled and enjoying the program. Audrey continues to sing in voiceover.
Between a frozen dinner and our bedtime, 9:15, we snuggle watching Lucy on our big, enormous 12-inch screen.
Interior upstairs. Audrey and Seymour tuck the kids into bunk beds and chuckle at the pets asleep with them.
I'm his December bride. He's father, he knows best. The kids' room next to our room, and a third room for a guest. A picture out of Better Homes and Gordon's magazine.
Audrey and Seymour reach the threshold of their early American bedroom. He lifts her up and we tactfully dissolve back to exterior Skid Row, night. Close above Audrey at her windows singing. Camera slowly pulls back as she looks out and sees a bleak Skid Row cityscape of brick walls, garbage, fire escapes, and passed out winos.
Far from Skid Row, I dream we'll go somewhere that's green.
Camera has pulled back across the street so we see an extreme wide shot of Audrey's tenement. Hers is the only bright light we see in this dark, decayed street. Music, a pulsing, high-energy bass line, the beginning of some fun now. This music dissolves the reflective mood as camera tilts up to see the Skid Row skyline. On a distant rooftop are 3 figures, silhouetted against the sky. We start moving towards them with gathering speed as the pulsating bass line builds in volume and excitement. Soon we're close enough to see that it's Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, in a girl group formation bathed in the glow of a rooftop neon sign. They begin to sing, Crystal taking the lead in an exaggerated Donna Summer meets Irene Cara style.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Seymour the schnook, his life was the worst.
Oh, what a bore, dirt poor is. Now take a look.
His luck has reversed. Joy to the boy, it sure is some fun now.
Insert spinning newspapers, Skid Row Gazette, headline Mystery Plant at Mushnik's. Insert spinning newspaper, Garden Club News, headline Audrey 2, the new plant for the 60s? Photo of a larger Audrey 2 being held by a weaker looking Seymour. Insert spinning periodical, the 2nd annual Horticultural Awards Luncheon. Several photos of Seymour holding the plant and accepting an award.
He was bringing up the rear row. Some fun now.
He was ringing up a 0, some fun now. Now he's swinging into Giro.
Some fun now. Now.
Television appearance. Seymour holding an ever larger Audrey 2 talks with Groucho Marx on You Bet Your Life. The duck flies down. The secret word is chlorophyll.
Some fun now. Most folks used to suck it to him.
Some fun now. Told jokes, used to try to screw him.
Some fun now. Now they're proud to say they knew him. Some fun now. Some fun now.
Insert spinning TV guide. TV guide stops spinning, opens, and camera pushes in to see listing for Mr. Wizard. Television appearance. Seymour holding an even larger Audrey 2 talks to Mr. Wizard and a couple of 13-year-old kids who look too smart for their own good.
Some fun now. That's the way the whoopee goes and.
Some fun now. That's the way the garden grows and.
Some fun now. Some fun heaven only knows. It's
Still photos. Various stills of Seymour being more successful.
Some fun now.
Some fun now. Some fun now.
some fun now.
Interior shop day. The shop is bulging with customers all chattering about and viewing the Audrey 2 and buying flowers as if they were going out of style. It's obvious that Mushnik has plowed some of his profits back into the shop. It has been redecorated with real formica on the counters, new refrigerated display cases with twinkling lights, kitschy pseudo-antique trimmings, the works. The girls are also in the mass of customers and continue singing Some Fun Now, the lyrics of which fade into and mingle with the cacophony of the people in the store.
Some fun now.
Some fun now. Some fun now.
Some fun now.
As the throng moves about the shop, they clear the plant enough for us to see that it's now sitting in an enormous pot on the floor and standing a full 4 feet tall with a spotlight on it. Mushnik is on the phone and can barely make himself heard over all the babble.
Yes, Mrs. Shiba. No, Mrs. Shiba. Right away, Mrs. Shiba. Seymour, did you send out the order for Mrs. Shiba?
Oh, Mrs. Shiva. Oh, I forgot.
You forgot. You forgot. You and his God. Are you listening, customers? He forgot.
Seymour heads for the storeroom. Interior storeroom day. The shop's little storage room has been converted into a flower arranging area. Audrey is hard at work on a get well soon arrangement, which includes not only flowers but handy pocket packs of Kleenex and bottles of aspirin. Behind her, a sign advertises Arrangements by Audrey. From the other room, we hear the bustling sounds of the successful shop. Seymour rushes in just as Audrey puts the final touch into her arrangement, a thermometer.
Audrey, quick. We gotta do an emergency arrangement.
Birthday? Wedding? Baby?
Funeral.
Hand me the lilies.
They clear a space on the table and Audrey begins to assemble a very large and scrupulously tasteless funeral arrangement. Huge lilies, black satin bows. Seymour assists like a nurse at surgery.
Mr. Mushnik's really mad. I keep forgetting things. I guess it's because I feel a little weak and lightheaded all the time.
Scissors, you've got a lot on your mind.
Mushnik passes through on the way to the basement.
Mind? What mind? The Shivas are our most important funeral account. Who could forget such an order?
He leaves.
Sometimes I think Mr. Mushnik's too hard on you. Glue.
Seymour hands Audrey a can of spray glue with which she begins to spray the fresh lilies, carnations, and mums in her arrangement. Neither she nor Seymour considers this anything out of the ordinary.
I don't mind. I mean, after all, I owe him everything. He took me out of the Skid Row home for boys when I was just a little tyke. Gave me a warm place to sleep, under the counter. Good things to eat, like meatloaf and water. Floors to sweep and toilets to clean and...
Glitter.
She's holding out her hand like a surgeon does for a scalpel. Seymour hands her a plastic bag of multicolored glitter. Audrey tosses fistfuls of glitter on the glue-covered flowers as she addresses Seymour, meaning every word from the bottom of her enormous heart.
You know, I think you should raise your expectations, Seymour. Now that you're getting successful, I mean.
She pauses for a moment and looks straight at him.
It's clear you suffer from a low self-image. And it's high time you should get it fixed. Go out and do something nice for yourself. Like, buy some nice clothes.
Oh, I'm a very bad shopper, Audrey. I don't have good taste.
He looks admiringly down at the glittering arrangement, then adoringly up into her eyes.
Like you.
Oh. Well, I could help you pick things out.
He can't believe what he's just heard. He leans closer.
You could?
So does she.
Sure.
You'd go
And
shopping
closer.
with me?
Sure.
And closer.
You'd be seen in a public place, like a department store?
Sure.
Tonight?
Reality intrudes. She pulls back, embarrassed and upset. She smiles shyly to cover it. Mushnik now re-enters, having come from the basement.
Oh, I can't tonight. I've got a date.
Seymour is crestfallen. Seeing Mushnik, he grabs the arrangement and exits. Audrey watches Seymour as he dejectedly walks away. She truly wishes she could go out with him.
Again, this date. Some date. A date gives you a corsage, not a multiple fracture. I'm telling you, Audrey, he ain't a good, clean kind of boy.
He's a professional.
What kind of professional drives a motorcycle and wears a black leather jacket?
Music. A nasty tambourine and chain-flavored leader of the pack musical vamp begins as we cut to exterior street day. Extreme close-up of a black leathered glove revving the accelerator of a moving motorcycle. Camera tilts up to see a face covered by a black motorcycle helmet. Dark goggles cover the eyes. All we can see is the lower face of a toothy grinning greaser with a Robert Goulet smile. We don't know it yet, but this is Orin Scrivello.
When I was younger, just a bad little kid. My mama noticed funny things I did, like shooting puppies with a BB gun. I'd poison guppies when I was done. I'd find a pussycat and bash its head. That's what my mama said.
Exterior city street scene day. Pedestrians busily moving along the sidewalk. Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon are sitting on a parked car as Orin pulls up.
What did she say?
Orin gets off the bike, which miraculously stays up by itself. He walks into an office building and down a corridor.
She said, my boy, I think someday you'll find a way to make your natural tendencies pay.
He stops in the corridor and opens a door.
You'll be a...
Interior dentist's office. Orin steps inside and unzips his black leather jacket, underneath which he is wearing a white dentist uniform. The girls are now in the background wearing dental assistants' uniforms and singing backup.
Dentist, you have a talent for causing things bang.
Orin takes off his helmet and flings it aside, hitting his nurse, Miss Mack, and knocking her out.
Son, be a dentist. People will pay you to be inhumane.
Room 1. Orin enters. A terrified patient wearing god-awful looking braces is in the chair. Orin, still wearing his motorcycle gloves, grabs an absolutely filthy, crud-caked towel and cleans his gloves.
Your temperament's wrong for the priesthood, and teaching would suit you still less.
Orin grabs a large pliers from a cabinet full of horrific-looking dental instruments. He wrenches the patient's head back and maniacally tightens the patient's braces. Orin twists the braces with the same subtlety he would use to jack up a car. The patient almost passes out.
Son, be a dentist. You'll be a success.
Orin exits. Music vamps. Room 2. Grinning dementedly, he enters the room as a star would enter a stage. A 12-year-old boy sits in the chair. His mother stands next to him holding his hand.
Here he is, folks, the leader of the pack.
Orin yanks the gas mask off the terrified boy and he breathes in some gas.
Watch him suck up that gas. Oh my God.
The mother faints, high on nitrous oxide. Orin giggles maniacally and exits. Room 3. Orin enters giggling.
He's a dentist and he'll never ever be any good.
Another horrified patient trembles in the chair as Orin goes into the patient's mouth with the rusty pliers. Orin emerges with a large rotted tooth, roots and all. He flings the tooth aside and exits giggling.
Who wants their teeth done?
by the Marquis de Sade.
Music vamps. Room 4. Orin is leaning over another patient to whom he's just given an injection. Orin retracts the huge needle from the patient's mouth.
Oh, that hurts!
Orin grabs his trusty pliers and heads for the patient's teeth.
Wait, I'm not numb!
Oh, shut up. Open wide. Here I come.
Reverse shot from inside the patient's mouth. We see the back of his teeth, tongue, and lips, and through the opening of the lips, we see Orin and the girls singing.
I am your dentist,
Goodness gracious!
and I enjoy the career that I picked.
You love it.
I am your dentist.
Cut to Orin at the door. It's closed.
Fitting braces.
Orin stands with his ear to the door listening.
And I get off on the pain I inflict.
On the word inflict, Orin violently swings open the door. Cut to the hallway. We see Orin has caught his nurse, Miss Mack, in mid-stride and has flattened her against the wall. Loving it, he crosses to room 5.
He really loves it.
Room 5. Orin is hand-cranking a World War II field drill, which emits a horrible screeching noise. The patient is absolutely catatonic with fear. As ever grinning, Orin gets down to it.
I thrill when I drill a bicuspid. It's swell though they tell me I'm maladjusted.
Dentist.
Waiting room. Orin pokes his smiling head in.
And though it may cause my patients distress.
All the patients in the waiting room cower back.
Distress.
Room 5. A patient who is manacled hand and foot and whose mouth is filled with cotton bits fights to remove herself from the chair. The girls hold her down. Orin relishes making her wait for the torment to come. He opens a cupboard, and inside we see an altar with candles burning and a large gilt-framed photo of an elderly Italian lady. He sings to it adoringly.
Somewhere in heaven above me, I know that my mama's proud of me. Oh, mama. 'Cause I'm a dentist and a success.
He slowly, menacingly starts to approach the patient, brandishing a whining drill in one hand, and with the other hand he holds a water sprayer. He viciously sprays a thick, steady stream of water into the patient's mouth.
Say ah.
Ah!
Say ah.
Ah!
Say ah.
Ah!
Now spit.
Orin violently slaps the patient on the back. The patient heaves forward, spewing out a huge mouthful of water and cotton bits as we cut to exterior street. A close-up of about a gallon of water and pieces of gravel landing in the gutter. Camera tilts up to see a large vase of water being emptied by Seymour. He puts the first vase down, picks up a second one, and as he empties the second one, a motorcycle roars to a halt by the curb and splashes Seymour. It's Orin in full black leather gear. He removes his helmet and de-bikes. Again, the motorcycle miraculously stays up by itself. He approaches the shop, unscrewing the cap of a little metal inhaler as he walks.
I'm sorry, sir. You can't go in there now.
Oh, yes, I can.
No, really, sir. We're closed.
Relax. You want some nitrous oxide?
No, thank you.
Suit yourself.
Sir, you really can't.
Audrey comes out of the shop dressed for her date.
It's okay, Seymour. This is my date.
Orin nods, grins, and giggles inanely, feeling the gas.
My boyfriend. Seymour? Orin Scrivello.
Orin abruptly stops laughing and shoots her a murderous glare.
DDS.
Hey.
Sir?
I know you. Sure, I saw you on the news. Give me a minute now. I know your name. It's Cedric. Stephen. Simon.
Seymour.
Somebody talking to you?
Oh, no. Excuse me.
Excuse me, what?
Excuse me, doctor.
That's better. I know, you're that plant guy, right? Hey, wait, you must be in there, huh?
He inhales some more nitrous and stumbles to the window. There it is, big as life.
Wow, is that incredible?
Shouldn't we be leaving now?
Orin shoots her another threatening look.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what?
Doctor, sorry, doctor.
You gotta train him, huh, stud? Listen, here's my card. If you ever need a root canal or anything, just give me a buzz. You hear? I'm serious. It's on the house, okay? Audrey!
Orin tosses his head, summoning Audrey to follow. She sneaks one miserable, trapped glance at Seymour, then forces herself to join Orin on the motorcycle. As Orin revs it up, we see on the cycle a decal insignia of a tooth stuck with a dagger and the letters ADA. Orin calls back to Audrey over the roar of the engine.
You got the handcuffs?
They're right in my bag.
Seymour's blood is boiling. He leaps on his bicycle and pedals off to follow them. Exterior drive at night. Orin, astride his bike, gleefully watches the start of Creature from the Haunted Sea. Audrey, behind him on the bike, where she couldn't see the screen if she wanted to, is forced to sit holding the little drive-in speaker. Exterior the drive-in snack bar. With a tacky neon sign in the background and a woman in robe and curlers carrying food in the foreground, Seymour, depressed to the point of desperation, sits at a picnic table watching them. Thunder, a sudden cloudburst. Exterior drive-in. On the motorcycle, Orin snaps his fingers. Audrey pulls out an umbrella and holds it in one hand. The speaker still in the other, covering Orin while she herself gets soaked. Exterior snack bar. Seymour, dejected and getting wet, bicycles away. Dissolve 2, interior the shop, night, an hour later. Seymour, miserable and wet from his ride, sits on the floor next to Audrey, too. He pats the pod as he talks to it. He needs a friend.
You ought to see the way he treats her, Tui. She deserves a prince, not a sadistic creep like him. The man's a total disgrace to the dental profession. I don't know what's going on sometimes. Seems like the whole world's going crazy. At least we got each other, right? I'm gonna turn in, Tui. See you in the...
Seymour starts for the basement when he hears a crunching sound. He turns around and sees that Audrey, too, has wilted dramatically.
Go boy. Here we go again.
He looks down at his fingers. There's still a bandage on each one.
Oh, come on. I haven't got much left. I'm all anemic. I got dizzy spells. Look it, give me a few days to heal, okay? Then, when the headache passes, we'll start again on the left hand and...
The plant speaks, a deep, funky basso.
Feed me!
I beg your pardon?
Feed me!
Joey! You talked! You opened up your trap, your thing, and you said...
Feed me, Krellborn! Feed me now!
Seymour frantically starts removing a band-aid and starting towards the plant.
Look, maybe I can squeeze a little more out of this one, but...
Seymour stands over the gaping pod, trying to squeeze a drop or two from his bone-dry finger.
Oh!
There isn't any more. What do you want me to do? Slit my wrists?
Silently, the plant opens its pod as if to say, "You got it."
Oh boy. Look, I got an idea. I'm gonna go down to Schmidrick's and pick you up some nice chopped sirloin.
Must be blood.
Yo, Tui, that's disgusting.
Must be fresh.
I don't want to hear this.
Music in, get it. The plant starts to sing.
Feed me.
Does it have to be human?
Feed me.
Does it have to be mine?
Feed me.
Where am I supposed to get it?
The plant goes into a Rock Me Baby style blues riff, swaying its leaves and moving its pod with slick insinuation.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me all night long. That's right, boy. You can do it. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me all night long. 'Cause if you feed me, Seymour, I can grow up big, strong.
Seymour starts for the storeroom. He's seen enough.
You ate blood, Audrey, too. Let's face it. How am I supposed to keep on feeding you? Kill people?
Worth your while.
Seymour stops dead in his tracks.
What?
You think this is all a coincidence, baby? The sudden success around here? The press coverage?
Look, you're a plant, an inanimate object.
Seymour heads out again. The plant sends a vine flying out across the room and wraps it around Seymour's waist.
Does this look inanimate to you, punk? If I can talk and I can move, who's to say I can't do anything I want?
Like what?
Like deliver, pal. Like see you get everything your secret, greasy, hot desires.
The song resumes as the plant sensually rubs its vine up and down Seymour's side.
You like a Cadillac car, or I guess shot on jackpot. How about a date with Hedy Lamarr? You're gonna get it.
The plant's vine spins Seymour around abruptly, so he's now facing the singing pod. It begins to rock in time to its own music.
How'd you like to be a big wheel, dining out for every meal? I'm the plant to make it all real. You're gonna get it.
The plant starts moving its vines and tendrils like an octopus at a modern dance recital as the music turns funky, slow, and hot.
Hey, I'm your genie. I'm your friend. I'm your willing slave. Take a chance, just feed me, and you know the kind of eats the kind of red hot treats, the kind of sticky, licky sweets I crave.
On that word crave, the plant opens its pod wide for the first time, giving us a glimpse of ferocious teeth inside. One vine pulls up a chair while two other vines push Seymour down onto the chair. The pod rises up a bit now, so it's towering over the seated Seymour like the genie from the lamp. The stem on which it rests rocks out as the song starts going for broke.
You know what? Don't be a putz. Trust me and your life will surely rival King Tut's. Show a little initiative, boy. Work up those guts and you'll get it.
Seymour stands, and during the following lyrics, which Seymour sings to himself in voiceover, he looks in a mirror and sees, instead of his own face, the faces of Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, grinning like Cheshire cats and wailing a shrill gospel counter-melody. Seymour turns away only to see a bum grinning darkly at him through the window.
I don't know. I don't know. I have so many strong reservations. Should I go and perform?
Seymour turns away from the grinning bum and sees a pair of scissors on the counter next to some shiny red ribbon.
Mutilations.
Seymour, still lost in thought, the plant over his shoulder leaning closer.
You didn't have nothing till you met me. Come on, kid. What will it be? Money? Girl? One particular girl. How about that Audrey? Think it over. There must be someone you can 86, real quiet like, and get me some lunch.
The plant rocks out again, moving its stem like Mick Jagger moves his hips, leaning its pod over one of its vines, almost as if the leaf held a microphone.
A room at the Ritz, wrapped in velvet, covered in glitz. A little nookie gonna clean up those zits and you'll get it.
Seymour turns away from the doorway and sings to himself.
Gee, I'd like a Harley machine.
Now you're cooking.
Tooling her around like I was James Dean.
Yeah.
Making all the guys on the tour to turn green.
Go get it. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Seymour gets into it now as the plant moves everything it's got. Pod, vines, stem, leaves. It's actually dancing with Seymour, who boogaloos right back at it.
Wanna be profound? If you really got to justify, take a break and look around. A lot of folks deserve to die.
The fun stops. Seymour can't believe what he just heard.
Wait a minute. That's not a very nice thing to say.
Isn't it?
No. I don't know anyone who deserves to get chopped up and fed to a hungry plant.
Sure you do.
And with that, the plant sends a vine sailing across the room to a light switch, which it flicks off with the greatest of ease. From the darkened shop's front window, the street outside is now plainly visible. The plant's vines take Seymour firmly by the shoulders and point him towards the window. Exterior of the street outside, Seymour's POV. It's still raining lightly. Orin's motorcycle roars to a halt outside Audrey's tenement building. They disembark.
Stupid woman. Cress, what a friggin' scatterbrain.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm sorry, Doctor.
Drop the damn umbrella. Gets me soaked.
I'm clumsy, Doctor. I'm clumsy, Doctor.
They disappear into Audrey's building, but their muffled voices are still audible.
Get the door open, you little slut.
I'm trying, Doctor. I'm trying, Doctor.
They appear now as silhouettes on the closed shade of Audrey's apartment window.
Look at my jacket. Look at my hair. Get the Vitalis, quick, the Vitalis.
I'm out of it, Doctor.
What?
Still in silhouette on the shade, he slaps her.
Orin, that hurt.
Hit it.
Interior of the shop. Music builds to a climax as Seymour slowly turns, red-faced and trembling towards the plant. He's a man possessed now, ready to do anything to save Audrey from the clutches of that beast across the street.
If you wanna rationale,
it isn't very hard
to see. No. Stop
and think it over, pal. The guy sure
looks like plant food to me. The guy sure looks like plant food to me. The guy sure looks like plant food to me. Oh.
The plant jumping up and down, its pot hammering the floorboards, is singing and dancing wildly now, shaking everything it's got, working Seymour up to a frenzy.
He's so nasty, treating her rough.
Yeah, smacking her around and always talking so tough.
You need blood and he's got more than enough.
Yeah, I need blood and he's got more than enough.
You need blood and he's got more than enough.
The plant's pod looks Seymour straight in the eye.
Get it.
Seymour turns away from the plant and into a close-up, his face a knot of utter resolve. Interior dentist's office reception room, 6 p.m. the next afternoon. Miss Mack, a receptionist and refugee from the Women's Army Corps, sits reading Combat magazine. She has a large band-aid on her face from when the helmet hit her. Across from her waits a patient, Mr. Denton. Orin's giggles waft in from a nearby examining room. They're followed by a scream of pain. Miss Mack shakes her head and mutters,
Weakling.
Does that mean they're finished? Is it almost my turn?
Keep your pants on.
A teenage girl emerges from the examining room. Her mouth is encumbered by a grotesquely exaggerated version of a night retainer so large, heavy, and rusted, the girl can barely hold her head up. Her mother, deeply shaken by the dentistry she has just witnessed, mumbles to herself in shock.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Denton approaches the teenager. We can't hear you, Denton.
What did you do? Tell me everything. Yeah, do that to remove the jaw, yeah.
The mother and daughter exit. Denton sits down. Miss Mack glances at the clock and starts to pack it in for the evening. Orin enters wearing a leather apron. He smiles madly. His eyes are glazed.
Next.
Denton springs to his feet.
Me, Arthur Denton, I'm next.
Does that have an appointment?
Ask it. I'm off duty.
She leaves. Denton chatters away excitedly as he and Orin head for the office.
Giving up all month for this. I'm sure I need a root canal. I'm sure I need a very long, slow root canal.
We'll see.
So I have a history of dental illness.
Shut up.
Yes, doctor.
Interior Orin's office. Orin, taking a hit from his small nitrous oxide vial, comes towards Denton brandishing a drill.
Yes! Yes, that's it! Show it to me first! Show it to me first!
Orin starts into his mouth. Interior reception room. Seymour opens the door and looks around. Nobody there. He enters and sits. He's extremely nervous as he puts his hand in his pocket and pulls out a gun. He looks at it and puts it back quickly as from the inner office, he hears Denton's cries of pleasure surfacing over the sound of drilling.
Oh, that was terrific! More!
Louder drilling off screen.
Oh, God, don't stop now!
Seymour winces. Interior office. Denton is in a frenzy. Orin, having paused in his work for a moment, stares at him in disbelief.
Yes! Oh, I want it now! 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 Yes! Oh, yes! Yes! I want it now! 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 Yes!
Get out.
Oh, come on, Doc!
I said get out.
Denton comes running out of the office, Orin following close behind carrying his drill.
Goddamn sicko. Move it.
Denton is out the door in a flash. Orin, frenzied, whirls on Seymour, catching him off guard.
Let me ask you something. Does this scare you?
Yeah.
Would you like it if I took this thing and made straight for your goddamn incisors?
No.
It hurt, right?
Right.
You'd scream, right?
Right.
Then get your ass in here.
What?
Before Seymour can do anything, Orin has started hauling him into the office. Interior office. Seymour struggles, but Orin easily straps him into the chair and shines the light right in Seymour's eyes.
Say, don't I know you?
Seymour Krelborn. We met yesterday.
Orin forces Seymour's mouth wide open and looks in gleefully.
Ooh, your mouth's a mess, kid. Let's start with that wisdom tooth.
Orin gets his pliers.
No!
But we'll just rip the little bugger right out of there. What do you say?
Let me go!
Orin turns to Seymour, suddenly smiling.
There's always time for dental hygiene, Seymour. You ever seen the results of a neglected mouth? Look, Seymour.
With a flick of his finger, Orin turns on a light box similar to those used to read x-rays. This one, however, displays an enormous color slide of a disgusting, rotted, decaying, salivating dog's mouth.
This could happen to you.
Seymour is about to be ill.
Unless I take immediate action.
Orin grabs his World War II field drill and starts to pump the drill's pedal. It makes a high-pitched, horrible sound.
What's that?
That's the drill, Seymour.
It's rusty.
It's an antique. They don't make instruments like this anymore. Sturdy, heavy, dull. This is gonna be a pleasure.
He's about to drill Seymour when he gets an idea and stops abruptly.
I'm gonna want some gas for this one.
Gas?
Nitrous oxide.
Oh, thank God. I thought you weren't going to use any.
Oh, the gas isn't for you, Seymour. It's for me. I want to really enjoy this. In fact, I'm going to use my special gas mask.
As Orin speaks, he opens the cabinet and pulls out an elaborate mask. He straps it on around his neck. He's preoccupied enough not to notice, Seymour loosening his wrist restraints.
I find that a little giggle gas before we begin increases my pleasure enormously.
The mask in place now, Orin turns the knob on the wall all the way up to full.
Here we go.
Hissing sounds. Orin immediately begins to get high and giggle. He's laughing so hard now he has to hold onto a countertop for support. This turns his back towards Seymour.
Oh, I am flying now. Oh, the things we are going to do to you now.
Orin tries to regain composure and straighten up.
Okay. Work to do. Time to work.
He somehow manages to pull himself to an upright position and turns around. Suddenly, his expression is one of shock as he sees Seymour standing in the doorway pointing a gun at him.
What was that?
Seymour closes his eyes and clenches his teeth, trying to make himself shoot.
Gun? Got a goddamn revolver. Jesus.
He giggles hysterically as he turns the gas knob. It comes off in his hand. The hissing sound continues. This strikes him funny.
Uh-oh.
He laughs. Seymour keeps the gun pointed, trying to force himself to actually pull the trigger. Orin makes an attempt to get the mask off, but he can barely get his arms up to his head. He's too weak from the gas and the laughter.
I guess you would.
He laughs. He tries to pull the hose out of the wall. The entire gas apparatus comes with it, sending Orin crashing to the floor. The hissing continues. Orin finds this hilarious. He's on the floor laughing like an imbecile, wheezing and desperately trying to catch his breath. He tries to get to his feet. He can't. He struggles to speak. Seymour just stands there watching, gun still pointed.
Oh.
Nothing.
Yeah, dude. What did I ever do to you?
Nothing. It's what you did to her.
Orin stares Seymour in the face.
Her who?
Beat. He gets it. We see it in his eyes. He knows why Seymour has come. Orin loses consciousness. His head, still encased in the mask, hits the floor with a thud. He's dead. Seymour slowly lowers the unused gun to his side. Music, Sturm and Drang, a full orchestral little shop in a minor key. Exterior, a dark alley, night. Seymour is slowly and laboriously dragging a very large and heavy white bag. Exterior, a street corner, night. Seymour, emerging from an alley, checks to see that no one is around, and then crosses the street, straining to drag the large white bag with him. Interior, the shop, night. Seymour stands before Audrey too, the white bag at his feet. The plant, backlit, seems bigger than ever. Seymour suddenly seems very small and insignificant. Seymour turns to leave.
Chop it up.
Seymour stops in his tracks, appalled.
What?
Eat me.
Okay.
Exterior, a dimly lit courtyard behind the shop. Sturm and Drang music continues. Seymour looks around nervously, then drags the white bag out of the shop into the courtyard. Interior, the basement. Seymour rummages around in the tool cabinet until he finds what he's looking for, an axe. The very sight of it makes him wince, but what must be done must be done. Exterior courtyard. Seymour enters with the axe, a bucket, and a pile of old newspapers. He starts spreading the papers out on the concrete. Exterior, the front of the shop. Mushnik appears at the front door. The night gate is down and locked, of course. He fumbles to find the correct key. He can't. He's frustrated. He starts around through the alley to try the back door. Exterior courtyard. Seymour grits his teeth, closes his eyes, and raises the axe. Angle, the courtyard wall. Seymour's shadow. He brings the axe down. There's an awful sound as it hits bottom. Exterior shop back door. Mushnik, fumbling with another key, hears the sound. He turns. Angle on the courtyard wall. The shadow lowers the axe again. That sound. Close up Mushnik. His jaw drops. If this were 1925, his hair would stand on end. The shadow continues its task. Exterior, the shop back door. Mushnik, stunned and sickened, forgets his business in the shop and turns. Interior, the shop. As music builds to a thunderous climax, Seymour is seen, gingerly and with great distaste, lifting bits of Orin. An arm with a studded leather wristband, a head frozen in a stupid grin, and dumping them into the plant's cavernous pod. Eating sounds, and then the plant laughs. A deep, echoing, frightening laugh. It reverberates as we dissolve to the basement, following morning. Sunlight streams through the basement window. Seymour is asleep but restless. The plant's laughter still echoes in his dreams. He wakes up as he becomes aware of a siren in the distance, drawing closer. He gets up and looks through his window. Exterior Skid Row, Seymour's POV. A police car is pulled up in front of Audrey's house. Two officers, Frank and Joe, are talking to her. She looks shocked by something they've said. Seymour starts to dress frantically. Exterior Audrey's front stoop, morning. The officers climb into their car and pull away. Audrey sits on the stoop, very upset. Seymour waits until the police have pulled away, then approaches from across the street. Audrey is about to cry and doesn't want him to see. She starts away from him, moving down the street. He follows.
Audrey, what did they say to you?
Who?
The police.
Oh, nothing.
Audrey, talk to me. What did they say?
She gives in and stops.
It's Orin. They say he's disappeared.
The police told you that?
They suspect foul play.
They do?
He was heavily in debt to certain rubber appliance firms. His receptionist, this morning, she found the place a shambles. Gas masks everywhere. Things ripped out of the walls. They think... I can't even think about what they think.
She starts to cry and moves away from him. She turns a corner and happens into... Exterior, a picturesque alleyway. A jumble of fire escapes fills the background. The very walls seem to be tinted lavender and blue, a watercolor of urban architecture, something out of West Side Story. Audrey, still crying, finds a trash can and perches it on it to sob.
Audrey, please don't cry. Would it be so terrible if something had happened to him?
Seymour, what a thing to say.
Well, would it?
It wouldn't be terrible at all. It would be a miracle. Not to mention all the money I'd save on Epsom salts and ace bandages.
See?
But I'd still feel guilty. I mean, if he met with foul play or some terrible accident of some kind, it'd partly be my fault, you see? 'Cause secretly, I wished it.
She fights back tears. Seymour works up the nerve to sit beside her. After a beat, he speaks very gently.
Audrey, you shouldn't waste one more minute about that creep. There's a lot of guys who'd give anything to go out with you. Nice guys.
I don't deserve a nice guy, Seymour.
That's not true.
She rises and moves away. She could never say this to his face.
I deserved a creep like Orin Scrivello, DDS. You know where I met him? In the gutter.
The gutter?
The gutter. It's a night spot. I used to work there. I'd put on cheap and tasteless outfits. Not nice ones like this. Low and nasty apparel. And I'd...
She breaks. She sits on a pile of crates, weeping softly. Music under, the intro to Suddenly Seymour. Seymour comes close and kneels beside her.
Audrey, that's all behind you now. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. You're a very nice person, and I always knew you were. Underneath the bruises and the handcuffs, you know what I saw? A girl I respected. I still do. Lift up your head. Wash off your mascara. Here, take my Kleenex. Wipe that lipstick away. Show me your face. Clean as the morning. I know things were bad, but now they're okay.
He rises and is suddenly framed against a yellow morning sky, glimpsed at the end of the alley. For a moment, he's Gary Cooper, John Glenn, Gordon McCrae. Audrey looks up at him in awe.
Suddenly Seymour is standing beside you. You don't need no makeup, don't have to pretend. Suddenly Seymour is here to provide you sweet understanding. Seymour's your friend.
Audrey does not sing back to him. She sings instead to God, her eyes brimming with tears.
Nobody ever treated me kindly. Daddy left early. Mama was poor. I'd meet a man and I'd follow him blindly. He'd snap his fingers, me, I'd say sure.
As a look of quasi-religious redemption spreads across her mascara-stained face.
Suddenly Seymour is standing beside me. He don't give me orders. He don't condescend. Suddenly Seymour is here to provide me sweet understanding. Seymour's my friend.
He moves towards her.
Tell me this feeling lasts till forever. Tell me the bad times are clean washed away.
She moves away from him, up onto a fire escape, to think.
Please understand that it's still strange and frightening for losers like I've been. It's so hard to say.
And she turns, all passionate commitment. Now he's on the ground and she's on a fire escape. It's the balcony scene. They reach for each other through the iron bars.
Suddenly Seymour.
We pull back to see that Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon are lurking on another fire escape across the alley, prepared to sing backup.
Suddenly Seymour,
He purified me.
He purified you.
Suddenly Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour
Showed me I can.
With one grand Errol Flynn gesture, Seymour pulls himself up and floats 10 feet high up onto the fire escape beside her.
Yes, you can.
Learn how to be more.
The girl that's inside you. with sweet understanding.
Sweet understanding.
With sweet understanding.
Sweet understanding. Sweet
Seymour's-
understanding.
Seymour's your man.
And at the numbers close, they're locked in the quintessential love duet pose. His arms around her from behind, faces close together, eyes glistening, and mouths open to hold the last note as long as the arrangement demands. Interior shop, morning. Music, suddenly Seymour playoff. Seymour enters the shop. He's on cloud 9. He passes the plant as if in a trance. Audrey, too, has practically doubled in bulk. The plant is glowing with green, good health, and its vines are all over the shop. It's even started to bud. It turns to see Seymour go down to the basement. Interior basement. Seymour jumps on his cot. From under his pillow, he takes out a photo of Audrey. He looks at it dreamily and is just about to kiss it when he's startled by...
Oh, O'Malley, don't you schmuck.
Seymour turns around to see Mushnik standing in the shadows.
Oh, Mr. Mushnik, you scared me.
I scared him? After what I've seen, I scared him? You didn't think I didn't know. I knew you laid down your pathetic cotton dream about her. But I didn't know the lengths which you would go, the depths which you would sink.
What depth? What sink? What are you talking about?
Music ends, supper time intro, a tension-producing Tubular Bells style vamp.
Little red dots all over the linoleum.
Seymour, who had no idea they were there, loses his breath.
Little red spots on the concrete outside. I'm talking blood, crowd-born. I'm talking under my own roof.
Mushnik is now at the tool cabinet. He opens it and grabs the axe.
An axe! Murderer!
Music, a big chord. Seymour's face falls. Close-up of Seymour as Audrey, too, is heard an echo.
He's got your number now.
I saw everything.
He knows just what you've done.
Everything you done to her boyfriend.
You got no place to hide.
Seymour clamps his hands over his ears so as not to hear the demon plant. Mushnik thinks Seymour doesn't want to hear him, so he keeps going with more intensity.
I saw you chopping.
You got nowhere to hide.
It's true. I chopped him up, but I didn't kill him.
He knows your life a crime.
Mushnik produces a gun and trains it on Seymour to hold him back.
Tell it to the police.
Interior shop. We now see the plant is singing.
I think it's supper time.
We intercut between the shop where the plant keeps singing and the basement where Mushnik is holding the gun on Seymour. Mushnik backs Seymour up the stairs as we're aware that Seymour is struggling to come up with a decent way out. Must there be more bloodshed?
Come on, come on. National Geographic. Come on. Your future with Audrey. Come on. Ain't no time to turn squeamish. Come on. I swear on all of their spores. When he's gone, the world will be yours.
Interior of the shop. The door from the basement opens. The plant is immobile. Seymour walks into the room as Mushnik, gun in hand, follows. Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon are lurking in the shadows outside the shop window.
Come on.
Mushnik walks Seymour to the front door. He stops. Vamp continues under as he speaks.
Crowbone, I just wanted to say it kills me to have to do this.
Cut to the girls outside in the shadows. Cut to Mushnik.
Bring it back to you're something of an idiot. And you have to be. This wasn't such a paragon himself. But all 30, 40 years.
Cut to the girls, who we still see outside through the window.
Come on.
Cut to Mushnik.
It would be a shame, all things considered, that your life's work shouldn't be here waiting for you.
Cut to the girls, who are now inside the shop, sitting on the counter.
Come on, come on.
Cut to Mushnik.
So if you want me to take care of this plant of yours, I assume you fertilize?
Cut to the girls, who are now standing right next to Seymour.
Come on, come on.
She needs to be fed, sir.
The plant rustles its leaves in anticipation.
Fed?
Cut to the girls, who still inside the shop are in front of the display window. A couple of filthy bums are outside, leering through the window just behind the girls.
Come on, come on.
Just potash, you know, and the usual minerals and all.
Of course.
As Seymour speaks, he casually backs Mushnik towards the plant.
And on Thursdays, you give it water.
Cut to the girls, who are now grinning behind the plant.
Come on, come on.
Cut to the bums, who are grinning menacingly through the window. Cut to Seymour.
Of course, you have to clean its leaves.
Yes.
But most importantly, whatever you do...
Yes?
Cut to the girls.
Come on, come on.
Cut to Seymour.
Whatever you do, just be sure...
By now, we see the plant has opened its vast, cavernous mouth and is waiting. Cut to the bums outside Leering. Cut to Mushnik.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Cut to the girls. They don't sing. They're grinning, looking, concentrating intently.
Yes, yes.
All of a sudden, Mushnik falls back and inside the open maw of the plant.
It's supper time!
Seymour turns his back. He can't watch what he knows will come next. With the force of a hungry shark, the jaws slam shut on Mushnik. Crunching sounds, punctuated by musical chords, mingle with the old man's screams. Crunch chord. Crunch chord. The girls are now outside the shop and they softly retreat back into the shadows. The two bums cackle loudly at what they've seen and run away. Music makes a direct segue from Eating of Mushnik underscore to the cello-flavored Meek Shall Inherit vamp.
Seymour Girlborn.
Startled, Seymour turns to see a slick, grinning Talon agent who's entered the shop.
It's so nice to meet you. I'm from William Mars. The pleasure is yours. You don't answer calls, so I came down in person. We're dying to book you on lecturing tours.
He extends a contract to Seymour, who just stands there in close-up, thrown.
Yes, darling, we're sending photographers Thursday.
Camera pulls back from Seymour, and we see that we are in interior Russian tea room style restaurant. Seymour sits in a booth with an aging but glamorous blonde lady from Life magazine and her creepy, leering male assistant. They are finishing a very lavish lunch. Seymour has caviar stains on his collar.
So get the plant ready and just wear a clean shirt. Just sign this release.
She produces a contract.
Need a pen? Oh,
Need a pen?
God damn it, Travis. Aren't you thrilled it's the cover of Life magazine?
As if to bribe him, the assistant pushes an enormous serving of something rich, cream-covered, and cherry-topped in front of Seymour.
Dessert?
We are close to Seymour's dazed expression.
I'm telling you, son, it's a cinch to get ratings.
And camera pulls back to reveal that we are now in interior a television studio control room. Banks of television monitors are in the background. The same image is on each monitor. A smiling photo of Seymour with Audrey 2 in front of a logo. The words on the logo read, Seymour Krelborn's Gardening Tips. A TV executive, writer, and Flunky are sitting with Seymour.
The title is Marvin's.
The concept is mine.
The Flunky produces a contract and pen and urges them on Seymour.
The first weekly gardening show on our network.
And you're gonna host it, you lucky kid. Sign.
Sign.
Cut to interior typing pool day. We're close in on two tall, impressive-looking mahogany doors. The doors swing open. Camera pulls back as we see two men. One holding a contract, the other smoking a cigar and with his arm around Seymour. They walk past camera and we hold on Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon in the foreground. They're each sitting at a desk in front of typewriters. In the background are about 10 women also at desks with typewriters. They type and bounce in time to the music as the girls sing.
They say the meek shall inherit. You know the book doesn't lie.
It's not a question of merit. It's not demand and supply.
Cut to interior limousine night. Close-up of a chauffeur driving the car. He's bopping to the music and smiling broadly into camera as we hear the girls sing in voiceover.
They say the meek gonna get it, and you a meek little guy.
Camera pushes past him towards the back of the limo. We see that it's an exaggerated stretch limo, about 50 feet long. Over this, the girls sing.
You know the meek are gonna get what's coming to them by and by.
Camera pushes forward to see Seymour sitting in the back seat, flanked by 2 men, urging him to sign a contract. A buxom woman sits on Seymour's lap, offering him champagne. Seymour looks very confused. As camera closes in on the group, one of them lets money fall into Seymour's lap as we dissolve to limbo. Money falling in slow motion in front of Seymour's face as Seymour's unconscious sings in voiceover.
My future's starting. I've got to let it. Stick with that plant and gee, my bank account will thrive.
The green, slow-falling money has turned into green, thick, undulating plant vines. Seymour now struggles to disentangle himself from them.
Now, what am I saying? No way, forget it. It's much too dangerous to keep that plant alive.
He finally frees himself and runs as we cut to limbo, a long, seemingly endless tunnel. Through its walls poke dozens upon dozens of hands and vines holding pens and contracts and money and liquor bottles and car keys and bras and panties, all beckoning Seymour as he races past them trying to escape.
I take these offers. That means more killing. Who knew success would come with messy, nasty strings?
Cut to limbo, a dirt floor. An hourglass sits on a short ionic column. The sand in the top of the hourglass is green, but as it falls and collects on the bottom, it becomes red. Tormented and panicky, Seymour races in from camera and runs into the distance. He's nude except for his glasses and his cap.
I sign these contracts. That means I'm willing to keep on doing bloody awful evil things.
Cut to limbo. All is dark. We follow Seymour, who is perspiring heavily and running with all he's got. Suddenly he stops because in front of him is a very large hand-tinted photo portrait of a jaunty smiling Mushnik. Blood oozes down from the top of the photo.
No! No! There's only so far you can bend!
Seymour whips around to camera and we see that he is now a plant. He is green with plant markings. Vines are where his arms should be. Of course, he still wears his glasses and cap. As we pull back and see that he's buried ass-high in a terracotta pot.
No! No! This nightmare must come to an end!
Interior basement, extreme close-up, night, of Seymour's face as he violently sits up from his cot, perspiration dripping from him.
No! No!
Cut to Seymour in his pajamas at the tool chest. He grabs the axe.
You've got no alternative, Seymour, old boy!
Cut to Seymour now at the stairs leading to the shop. Half crazed, he climbs them as he sings.
Though it means you'll be broke again and unemployed, it's the only solution. It can't be avoided. The vegetable must be destroyed.
He's reached the top of the stairs. He flings open the door. As it swings open, he sees Audrey's smock hanging from it. Seymour's expression softens. Forlorn and heartsick, he turns away and with a tear in his eye sings.
But then there's Audrey. Lovely Audrey.
Dissolve to limbo. A promontory on top of which Audrey stands. She looks like a goddess. She wears a flowing dress and wrapped around her neck is a very, very long, diaphanous scarf that extends behind her about 50 feet blown by a strong wind.
If life were tawdry and impoverished as before, she might not like me. She might not want me.
Camera has pulled back to a wide shot. We see Seymour standing off at a distance and looking up at her with his arms outstretched. He's Gene Kelly and she's Sid Charisse. She runs down and towards him through the dense, dry ice smoke lapping at her feet.
Without my plant.
On the word plant, Audrey runs past Seymour's waiting arms and falls into the waiting vines of Audrey too, who has been just off screen.
She might not love me anymore.
Cut to a close-up of Seymour. He looks up at someone in soft, sad resignation. Camera begins to pull back and up.
They say the meek shall inherit.
Camera pulls back and high, making Seymour look very small. He now stands on a very large contract, which covers the entire floor. A hand extends from camera towards Seymour. The hand holds a contract.
Where do I sign?
You know the book doesn't lie.
The hand and arm have extended about 15 feet from camera to Seymour. The arm is the agent's, whose face appears in the extreme foreground.
Right on the line.
It's not a question of merit.
Cut to a medium shot of Seymour. He turns around as behind him, the blonde lady floats in horizontally like Chagall's lovers. She too holds a contract.
Your pen or mine. It's not demand or supply.
Seymour turns around completely now as a man rises from below like a phantom right in front of Seymour. He holds a pen and contract.
Paragraph 9.
Seymour signs the contracts.
You'll make a fortune, we swear it.
The TV executive pops up from behind Seymour and grabs the signed contract.
Ah, this copy's mine.
If on this fact you rely, bye-bye, so long.
Limbo, extreme close-up of a flashbulb popping. Close-up of Seymour. He's being besieged by autograph hounds. More flashbulbs pop. Each flash is like a rifle shot to Seymour. He tries to escape, but the crowd hems him in. It's nightmarish.
You know the meek are gonna get what's coming to them.
You know the meek are gonna get what's coming to them.
You know the meek are gonna get what's coming to them.
We see that Seymour and the crowd are actually in front of the shop. Exterior shop, late afternoon. Seymour tries to push through the throng.
Bye and bye.
Please, please let me through. Security man.
Hey, get back. They're filming. Security man pushes him back, knocking Seymour into a surly wino.
Hey, watch where you're going, hey.
A scuffle ensues in which Seymour is punched and manhandled by winos and security. Interior of the shop, late afternoon. A camera crew and TV chorus are in the midst of filming a spot for Del Monte Presents Audrey 2 and a Salute to Vegetables. Audrey stands to one side, watching delightedly. Singers and dancers are doing something silly and Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders-ish in front of the plant. It's bigger than ever and has been decorated with red, white, and blue bunting.
Who's the best? The beautiful green one. Who? Audrey 2. Who's a star if I've ever seen one? Who? Audrey 2. Look at them. Those leaves. That stem. She puts the rest to root. Yes. Who makes photosynthesis seem cute? Our Audrey. Aud.
Suddenly, right as the singers and dancers start to go into a dance break, the plant collapses. The vines wilt, the leaves sag, and the pod sinks to the floor. Gasps. A moment of chaos. Cut! What the hell's going on? What happened to the goddamn greenery? The director sees Seymour stumble in the front door. He doesn't seem to notice that Seymour is bruised and disheveled from the fight outside.
It just needs to be fed.
So feed it.
I can't right now.
Then I'll feed it. Where do you keep the plant food?
It doesn't eat plant food, and I can't feed it now. Just leave me alone, will ya? All of you. Why don't you all leave me...
Seymour, you're hysterical. They're only trying to help.
I know. I'm sorry.
Seymour runs to the back door. Audrey follows him. Okay, guys. Pack it up. Exterior of the courtyard. The sun is just beginning to set. Audrey discovers Seymour sitting on a trash heap, face in hands. She moves to him.
Well, what am I gonna do?
It's wilted before, and you've always brought it back to life somehow. Seymour, I think running this place all by yourself is too much for you. When did Mr. Mushnik say he'd be back?
Huh?
You know, in that note you told me he left you. The one that said he was going out to his sister's house in,
Oh, Czechoslovakia. He could be gone a very long time. Audrey, could I ask you something?
Anything.
Just suppose there'd never been an Audrey 2, and I was just a nobody again. A nobody. Would you still like me?
I'd still love you, Seymour.
He looks at her for a moment, then pulls her to him. Music. Suddenly Seymour plays under dialogue, quietly and gently.
Then marry me, Audrey. I'll take you to that little development you've always dreamed about, and once we're there, it'll be happily ever after, I promise. Nice little house, nice little car, and no plants. No plants at all. We'll go to Alaska.
They say it's pretty there.
Then will you? Will you marry me?
Sure.
You will?
Sure.
Tonight?
Oh, sure.
I'll pick you up in an hour, and we'll go to City Hall. Suddenly Seymour is standing beside you.
Suddenly Seymour showed me I can. Oh, Seymour, we better stop singing. I've got to get ready.
As music swells, Audrey, the happiest girl in the world, flies out of the courtyard, turning back only once to blow Seymour a kiss. He watches her go, then closes his eyes, wishing with all of his might that everything will turn out. Interior of the shop. It's deserted now. Outside, the sun sinks lower. The plant is still wilted and lifeless. Seymour stands looking at it in silence for a moment, then very quietly tries to sneak past it. But just as he gets to the door, a spooky hoarse whisper stops him dead in his tracks.
Feed me.
Under no circumstances.
Feed me.
I will not. So stop asking.
Feed me.
No. No more. I can't take living with the guilt.
Tough titty.
Watch your language.
Oh, cut the crap, Krellborn, and bring on the meat.
Okay. I'll bring you meat. I'll run down to the corner and I'll pick you up some ground rounds. How about that?
Don't do me no favors.
Look, it's my last offer. Yes or no?
You sure drive a hard bargain.
Done. Fine. Great. And don't think you're getting dessert.
Exterior Skid Row evening. As the sun slips further down, winos gather and light fires. Seymour walks down the street and disappears. Interior of the shop evening. Audrey, too, emits a quiet, satisfied laugh. It waits a beat and then slithers one of its vines towards the shop's counter. The vine crawls up the side of the counter. When it reaches the top, the vine goes to the cash register. It pushes down a key, and with its customary ring, the cash register drawer opens. The vine pokes through the drawer and takes out a nickel. It then slinks back down to the floor, goes to the wall, and crawls up to the pay telephone. Another vine lifts up the receiver as the nickel is deposited. The receiver is brought up to the pod, where if the pod had an ear, its ear would be. The vine dials a number and then taps the side of the phone patiently as the plant hums, waiting for the phone to be answered. We hear the rings filtered through the receiver. Interior Audrey's bedroom. Her phone is ringing. Guess who? Audrey sits at her dressing table. Some cheap luggage and a vanity case are on the bed. She's wearing a white dress and is brushing her hair. She hasn't teased it yet, so it falls naturally and softly to her shoulders. It gives her the appearance of a heroine in a gothic romance. She picks up the receiver.
Hello?
Audrey, too, is heard filtered through the receiver. The plant breathes heavily and obscenely. Then,
Hey, little lady, hello.
Who is this?
You're looking cute as can be.
Is this someone I know?
You're looking mighty sweet.
Seymour?
It ain't Seymour, it's me.
Audrey happens to turn around and look through her window. Exterior of the shop, Audrey's POV. It's the last blaze of sunset. Across the street, through the shop's window, she sees the plant, totally alive now. Its vines writhing like a Medusa, its leaves flapping like great palmetto fans, its pod grown to mammoth proportions. It emits an unearthly green glow that spills from the shop onto the street.
Oh my God!
Interior Audrey's apartment. Audrey is not there. All we see is the receiver dangling towards the floor. We hear an off-screen door slam and the sound of feet running. Interior of the shop. The vine replaces the receiver as another vine pulls down the little coin, returns slow. No nickel. It bangs on the side of the phone. Still no luck. What the hell? Audrey has just opened the front door and she stands and stares in amazement.
I don't believe it.
Believe it, baby.
Am I dreaming this?
No, And you ain't in Kansas, neither. I need some water in the worst way. Look at my branch. I'm dried up. Come on and give me a drink.
I don't know if I should.
Hey, little lady, be nice.
Do you talk to Seymour like this?
Sure do. I'll drink it straight. Don't need no glass and no ice. Don't need no twist of lime.
All right, I'll get the can.
She moves into the shop, cowering along the wall, just into range of the large tendril's grasp. In a flash, it wraps around her like a boa constrictor.
I think it's supper time.
Audrey screams and struggles. The tendril starts pulling her towards the gaping pod. Audrey fights for all she's worth, but the vines ensnare and attack her from all sides. She's being pulled inexorably towards the pod.
Relax, darling. It'll be easier. Come join your dentist friend at Mushnik.
Audrey screams.
They're right inside.
And with one great heave, the vines pull her into the pod itself. The jaws clamp down. She screams again. The shop door flies open. Seymour rushes in and begins prying at the pod with all of his might.
Get off of her! Get off of her!
He finally succeeds in getting the pod open just enough to pull her out. She's alive, but just barely. Her dress is tastefully stained with just a bit of red. He drags her out of the shop, kicking the fighting vines and branches out of his way as he goes, until he gets her beyond their reach and through the door. Exterior Skid Row. It's night now. The golden glow of a street lamp floods lyrically down on them, as Seymour lowers the dying Audrey to the moonlight pavement and cradles her in his arms. Music comes in softly under.
Don't die, Audrey. Please, please don't die.
You know, the plant just said the strangest thing just now. It said that Orin and Mr. Mushnik were already inside.
It's true. I did it. I fed them to it.
And that's what made it so big and strong, and you so famous.
I've done terrible things, but not to you. Never to you.
But I want you to, Seymour.
What?
When I die, which should be very shortly, give me to the plant so it can live to bring you all the things, all the wonderful things you deserve.
You don't know what you're saying.
Audrey is transfigured. She's Joan of Arc, Little Ava, Melanie Wilkes, going out in a blaze of angelic selflessness.
But I do. It's the one gift I can give you. And if I'm in the plant, then I'm part of the plant. So, in a way, we'll always be together. You'll wash my tender leaves. You'll smell my sweet perfume. You'll water me and care for me. You'll see me bud and bloom. I'm feeling strangely happy now, contented and serene. Oh, don't you see? Finally I'll be somewhere that's green.
And she collapses. There in the moonlight under a street lamp, she dies in his arms. Music, The Death of Audrey. A choral with angelic voices and string orchestra underscores as Seymour lifts his love from the ground. Behind him through the shop window, we can see the pod open ceremoniously. Angle, Seymour holding Audrey, pod in background. The pod emits beams of light now, plunging Seymour and his dead love into dramatic silhouette. He carries her slowly towards the source of light. Interior of the shop. The mood is one of Wagnerian splendor. It's Gotterdammerung as Seymour ritualistically fulfills Audrey's dying wish and places her gently, tenderly into the light-filled pod. He kneels, tears streaming down his cheeks to see the act completion. Audrey slowly begins to slip further and further away from us, into the light beaming from the plant's throat. At last she's gone. Seymour rises destroyed and runs from the shop, out onto the street. Exterior Skid Row. Seymour finds the first fire escape he can and climbs it. Exterior rooftop. Music. The last notes of The Death of Audrey choral trail off, giving way to traffic sounds, As Seymour reaches the top of the building, stumbles to the edge, and looks down. Angle of the street, Seymour's POV. It spins below him, of course. Exterior rooftop. Seymour takes a deep breath and prepares to jump when he hears a voice that stops him.
Mr. Crawborn? Mr. Crawborn?
Seymour turns to see Patrick Martin, a Midwestern businessman in a green suit. We will never know how he got there.
Patrick Martin. I'm in licensing and marketing. I want to show you something.
Seymour turns away and prepares once more to jump.
I'm not interested.
Ah, but you will be. Look.
As Martin speaks, he carefully takes something out of his briefcase.
I took the liberty of taking a cutting from that amazing plant of yours and see what it grew in just a couple of days.
Martin has taken out a tiny Audrey 2, about a few inches tall, but looking exactly like the real Audrey 2. It sits in a delightful, well-designed container on which are written the words Audrey 2. Seymour, surprised and uncomprehending, just stares at it.
The design boys made the little pot. Cute, huh? Get the idea? My firm is willing to pay you a reasonable amount to take leaf cuttings, develop little Audrey 2s, and sell them to floor shops and supermarkets across the nation. Like pretty soon, every household in America could have one.
These last words echo in Seymour's confused and frazzled mind.
Have one, have one, have one, have one.
Seymour shakes his head to banish the echo. Something begins to dawn on him.
Imagine it, boy. We'll make a fortune. Audrey 2s everywhere. Everywhere. This thing could be bigger than hula hoops. Hula hoops. Hula hoops. Hula hoops. What do you say, Mr. Crawborn?
Martin is giving his best salesman smile, his eyes fixed on Seymour, waiting for an answer. Seymour looks at the tiny plant. As unseen by Martin, it suddenly turns and opens its tiny mouth at Seymour in an almost malicious, silent smile. Seymour is suddenly possessed of complete understanding. His face becomes a mask of rage and resolve. Without another word, he races down the fire escape.
Mr. Crawborn! Mr. Crawborn, hey! We don't have to deal with you, you know? The goddamn vegetable's public domain. You ask your lawyers.
Interior of the shop. Seymour bursts through the door and faces the plant, which is even bigger, stronger, and healthier now. It dwarfs him completely.
Every household in America. That's what you had in mind all along, isn't it?
No shit, Sherlock.
We're not talking about one hungry plant here. We're talking about world conquest.
You got it.
And you ate the only thing I ever loved.
The plant, laughing, draws itself up to its full height and begins to sing from old-fashioned rock and roll.
I used to hear the people talk about that old King Kong. He used to say he was the meanest, but them folks was wrong. He climbed Empire State, that building ain't so big. Shoot, I could climb it half the time, but climbing ain't my gig. I'm just bad. I'm real bad. I'm bad.
Seymour is at the counter. He opens the drawer and takes out the gun and loads it with bullets.
Godzilla was a monster, he was mighty mean. Now even I have to respect him, cause that boy was green. But when he said to me, hey Audrey, you ain't all that tough, I had to show that leaping lizard I was tough enough.
Seymour aims and fires at the plant.
He said, yeah.
He fires again.
Don't be mad.
And again.
Boy, you're bad.
The bullets just bounce off. Seymour runs down to the basement.
That's right, I'm bad.
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 So I ain't worried about your biggest guns. I'm too bad.
Seymour returns from the basement with the axe. He tries chopping the vines. Every time he swings, the vine moves and he misses, and he smashes a piece of the shop.
Bad.
Bad.
Bad. I'm 10 feet tall and weigh at least 2 tons. I'm extra bad.
Audrey 2's littler pods sing backup as the big one sings lead.
Bad.
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 Seymour tries to get the little pods with the axe, but they're too fast for him as he smashes the wall, the floor, the counter.
Go on and bitch and whine and wail and curse. Too bad. I'm bad.
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 Seymour's had it. He just throws the axe at Audrey too. The plant catches it and flips it from vine to vine. It gives Seymour a little juggling show.
And if you mess with me, I'll just get worse.
The plant heaves the axe at Seymour. Seymour sidesteps in the nick of time, and it goes crashing through a window. Seymour's really angry. During the following lyrics, he throws a chair at the plant. It catches the chair. He throws a small table at the plant. It catches the table. He throws a shovel. It catches the shovel.
One day I met the bride of Frankenstein. So much for her. Just one encounter, and she called me Mr. Audrey, sir.
Close-up of Seymour grabbing the cash register to throw at the plant, but it's too heavy for him. But damn it, he's not giving up, and yes, he's lifting it, but no. Camera pulls back, and we see a vine wrapped around it. It's the plant who's lifting it up and out of Seymour's arms.
So it's a cinch no puny baldy of a botanist is gonna be half of a match for me when I get pissed. Got it, Dad?
The plant is now holding and waving the chair, the shovel, and the table, and the cash register. We see it take a mighty wind-up like it's 3-2, bottom of the ninth. Close-up of Seymour. His mouth is open and his eyes are bulging with fear. He ducks. The items sail through the air and smash through Mushnik's large display window. Seymour gazes at the broken shards and realizes that instead of him trying to kill the plant, sweet Jesus, the plant is now trying to kill him.
You been had? Oh, I'm bad.
Seymour tries to get away, but each time he tries, a vine hurtles past him and tears a hole in the wall, sending off sparks from severed electrical lines and spewing water into the room from busted pipes. Seymour goes to the left. A vine shoots out to the left and smashes through the wall. Seymour goes to the right. A vine careens to the right, smashing through the wall. Each vine is its own Bruce Lee. No fucking around. The plant is serious.
So come and get me, kid. I dare you try and take your kill. I'll make you sorry for messing with my chlorophyll.
The plant rips the radiator out of the wall, sending a cloud of steam spewing into the room. It pulls the radiator apart like it was a toy accordion.
I hope you're getting close to ready now to end this fuss. Those foolish efforts to undo me are so tedious.
Getting a bit bored with it all, the plant flings its vines to the ceiling and holds onto the rafters. It raises its pod about 5 feet from the floor and bounces and swings as it sings.
See, all your methods are so corny and so childish and so undergrad. They just an exercise in stupid. Why not face it, Seymour? I am bad.
Audrey 2 goes for the big finish. With a gargantuan yank of the rafters, it creates an avalanche of brick, wood, and plaster that rages down over the plant and Seymour. Before the dust is even settled, we hear the plant laughing triumphantly. The shop looks like it's just survived the Blitzkrieg. The walls are partially demolished, chunks of ceiling have caved in. On the other side of what used to be the shop, Seymour, filthy, wounded, and exhausted, emerges from under a pile of rubble. Dazed, but sensing he's still in danger, he quickly scrambles, rolls, falls, and crawls away from the shop and into the street out of reach of the mocking plant. Breathing heavily and seemingly half mad, he takes the heroic stature of a mad prophet, or of Kevin McCarthy in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, as he shouts,
I'll warn him. I'll warn him. I'll tell him you're coming. The human race won't take this lying down. And wherever your kind grows, whatever you try, we'll be waiting for you.
Seymour turns and runs, pushing his way through a few bums that have been watching.
They're coming. They're coming. Don't feed them. Don't feed the plants. Don't feed the plants.
As Seymour exits screaming, we hear the rumbling, demonic laughter of the plant in the distance. The bums too begin cackling, until we're left with the almost deserted streets echoing with dark, ominous laughter. Limbo, American flag. Music, a tense rhythm begins which grows into grand magisterial music, the intro to subsequent to the events. A huge American flag fills the frame. It's heavily backlit, making it seem luminescent. It dwarfs Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, who are posed in silhouette in front of the flag. The girls ceremoniously begin walking to camera, and as they get closer and closer, Crystal sings with gospel fervor.
Subsequent to the events you have just witnessed, similar events in cities across America, events which bore a striking resemblance to the ones you have just seen, began occurring.
Cut to interior garden shop day. An extreme close-up of the words Audrey 2s fills the screen. Camera pulls back to see that these words are part of a sign. Yes, we have Audrey 2s on sale here. Camera trucks by a very long line of beaming customers waiting at the checkout counter, each holding one or more tiny Audrey 2s, exactly the same tiny Audrey 2s that Patrick Martin had on the rooftop. In the background, customers are besieging a clerk for more of those new, delightful Audrey 2s in their cleverly designed little containers.
And subsequent to the events you have just witnessed, unsuspecting jerks.
From Maine to California, made the acquaintance of a new breed of flytrap.
And got sweet-talked into feeding it blood.
Dissolved 2 interior Sears basement day. Close-ups of dozens of hands grasping for the tiny Audrey 2s. A screaming, pushing throng of people are mashed up against a counter behind which are hundreds of Audrey 2s. People are shoving, screaming, waving money as the salespeople do their best to help. The frenzy is like that of Cabbage Patch dolls, pet rocks, and hula hoops all rolled into one. Suddenly we see someone pushing his way through the crowd. It's Seymour. He is unshaven, dirty, with bloodshot eyes, as if he hasn't slept for weeks. He jumps on the countertop, kicking off the Audrey 2s and screaming.
Thus the plants worked their terrible will, finding jerks.
Who would feed them to their fill, and the plants proceeded to grow and grow.
Interior house, night. Bedroom of a suburban home. A middle-aged couple are lying in bed. All we see are their feet in the foreground. Between the feet, we see the TV on which the Tonight Show starring Jack Parr or a very young Johnny Carson. A news bulletin comes on. A newscaster appears and in the back of him flashes the word Cleveland. Then we see a live, on-the-spot reporter in front of a Cleveland building being destroyed by a 15-foot Audrey 2. People are screaming and running away. The destruction continues as the reporter is dragged off by a tentacle.
And began what they came here to do.
Which was essentially to eat Cleveland and Amoy and Peoria. And New York, and where you live.
Then, in the bedroom still, after the lyrics and where you live, a thick vine comes smashing down on the TV itself, exploding into smithereens. 2 or 3 other vines smash through the wall as even more vines lash out and wrap around the legs of the people in bed and drag them away, screaming as plaster falls around them.
They may offer you fortune and fame, love and money and instant acclaim, but whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants.
Exterior Los Angeles, night. The large, famous Hollywood sign in the hills. The searchlight of a hovering helicopter is aimed at a huge Audrey 2 as it destroys the sign, throwing the letters into the air, leaving the sign to just read Ho-woo, while police fire guns and flares at the marauding plant.
They may offer you lots of cheap thrills, fancy condos in Beverly Hills, but whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants.
Exterior New York, night. Sorry.
Look out, here comes Audrey 2. Look out.
Here I come for you.
Here I come for you. Here I come for you.
Exterior New York, night. Medium shot of the face of the Statue of Liberty as we see green tentacles oozing from the inside of her crown and covering her eyes like Medusa's snakes. Another Audrey 2 is at the end of her arm, enveloping the torch with its tentacles. On the ground are police searchlights and the National Guard firing up at the plants. Exterior New Jersey, night. In the background, Manhattan is on fire. In the foreground, 2 or 3 more Audrey 2s are attacking. A mind-boggling mass of leaves, vines, tendrils, and roots. They're lumbering towards the foreground. Suddenly, from the distance, a torn, haggard figure comes running to camera. Crazed and totally hysterical, he runs up into an extreme close-up, his face filling the screen as he screams.
They're here! They're here! Run! They're here!
he turns and runs to mid-background, screaming, trying to help the others fight the plant as we see cars overturned, broken fire hydrants spewing water, downed electrical lines crackling with sparks, police and National Guard soldiers firing away, fires burning out of control in the distance. It's the end of civilization as we know it. Men, women, and children, including Seymour, run screaming up to and past camera as the Audrey 2 is upon them and us, advancing menacingly, inexorably to camera and opening its cavernous maw. It seems to swallow the camera whole as it completely blacks out the screen. We are left with the horrible sounds of cataclysmic destruction.
Hold your hat and hang on to your soul. Something's coming to eat the world whole. If we fight it, we've still got a chance. But whatever they offer you, though they're slop in the trough for you, please, whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants. Don't feed the plants.
Fade up, the end, followed by question mark, exclamation, question, exclamation, question. Music, credits roll. After last credit in black, as people are leaving the theater, a very large, low, rumbling laugh.
And that is going to be our reading for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I ate the man who runs me, so I'm just going to be here for the rest of the show. Have a good one, folks. Bye.